The following is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are the Fox. We are the West.
Men with extraordinary abilities walk among us. Some reveal their talents slowly, others become heroes overnight. They possess blinding speed, incredible strength, pinpoint accuracy, and some seem to defy gravity. If they appear weak, be careful, because when they're most vulnerable, they're most dangerous. Battling back when all seems lost, is that home run you brought is the greatest gift of the game. How they use their powers determines their fate. When these warriors set foot on a battlefield, their talents, their skills will be on display for all to see. In every game, every battle, a new chapter is written by the skills of our heroes, both human and mutant.
Well, it may be a hazy, lazy summer afternoon here at Rangers Ballpark, but the Rangers looking to turn up the heat once again as they finish off this series and the homestand, taking on the New York Yankees. And welcome in, everyone. Glad to have you on this Thursday afternoon of Ranger Baseball with Tom Grieve. I'm Steve Busby, and we're looking for the Rangers this afternoon to really try and cement things. They get Derek Holland going out to the mound. He has probably been their most consistent pitcher, Tom.
He probably has, Buzz. You're right. Now, with the addition of the pitchers off the disabled list, the trade for Matt Garza, every day the Rangers send a solid starter out there, and certainly Derek is no exception to that. He had a tough loss to Baltimore, 3-1 in his last start, but he pitched 8 innings, 8 solid innings. You go back to June 27th at Yankee Stadium, he shut out the Yankees on 95 pitches. So you expect Derek Holland to pitch deep into the game and be strong today as well.
Yeah, you'd like for a little deja vu all over again from Derek Holland against these New York Yankees. He'll have his hands full today, though. The Yankees trying to turn things around and salvage the final game of this series. Now, Mariano Rivera worked on his Western wear before the game this afternoon. Rangers honored him in his last tour to Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Starting lineups to the first pitch coming up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIT-ATT. Rethink possible. By Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. And by Red 2. Now in theaters everywhere. The Rangers in their red and white headed out to the field as Derek Holland looking to become the second 9-game winner on the Rangers staff. Yu Darvish already has reached that level. Holland trying to get a victory here this afternoon. It would be his third in the month of July. He has been pitching extremely well. And you go back to that start that we talked about against these Yankees last week of June. Since that day, I mean, he has really turned things around and been as consistent, I think, as we have seen him in any stretch of his career. Ron Washington and Jackie Moore looking on from the bench down there on a warm afternoon. Now the Geico quote from Derek Holland. They go out and do the same thing they've always done, and that's go right after them. Yeah, that's when you've shut them out on 2 hits the way Holland did, that's fairly easy to say. It's when you get your ears pinned back and you say, I'm going to go out there and do the same thing I always do. I like that. Now let's take a look at Joe Girardi's lineup. A little bit mixed up today. Ichiro Suzuki will lead things off. He's in right field. Brent Littlebridge moves up to the number 2 slot. The DH is Robinson Cano. Batting cleanup, playing left field. Vernon Wells, Eduardo Nunez is the shortstop. David Adams getting his first start. This being called up from AAA will bat 6th. Lyle Overbay at first, bat 7th. Milky Mesa is in center field. And Austin Romine is catching and batting 9th.
Look at the scouting report for Derek Holland. A nice record, 8-5. 3.10 ERA is 8th best in the league. 127 strikeouts is 7th best in the American League. Coming off that great game, June 27th against the Yankees. A 2-hit shutout through 95 pitches. Hopefully today, 95 pitches will get him way into the ballgame, 7th, 8th, 9th inning. And Rangers will score some runs for him. His last start against Baltimore, he pitched pretty well. He only gave up 3 runs, but Rangers only managed 1 run in that game and lost 3-1. Derek pitched 8 innings in that game.
And the first pitch of the afternoon to Ichiro is a called strike on the outside corner. Well, Suzuki, who had batted second for the first 3 games of this series, with Brett Gardner leading off, back up to the leadoff spot. Now Gardner on the bench to start things off. Pitch just outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Yankees come in trailing the Boston Red Sox by 7 in the American League East. Yankees in 4th place. As Holland again misses outside. Rangers still 3 games behind Oakland. Rangers have gone 27 days now without catching up at all, without gaining any ground in the American League West. 2-1 pitch. Chopper foul outside first. Mick Kelleher doing some fancy footwork down there, the first base coach for the Yankees.
Ichiro trying to put the Yankees on the board with that swing. Generally, he's going back through the middle, slapping it toward left field. Occasionally, he tries to pull the ball, which he did on that pitch. Usually in a fastball count. He hopes to get a fastball on the inside part of the plate.
High and outside, the count has gone full. Well, Suzuki leading things off, trying to get a board for the Yankees. He'll be followed by the third baseman, Brent Littlebridge. Holland to the wind, the payoff pitch on the way. Fouled straight down, and AJ didn't have the ball. I'm not sure even that he hit the glove very solidly, but it popped out nonetheless. You know, just ticked off the edge of the glove and got the shin guard. So we will try it again. Derek Holland doing a little adjusting of the pant leg. Back up on top, reading the signs. And the left-hander again with the 3-2. Going to be a tough play for Holland. He will have no play as Suzuki, a little chopper 45 feet down the line, could not have walked down there and placed it in any better position for him or any tougher position for Derek Holland.
Now that's vintage Ichiro right there. Leads the major leagues in infield hits, and there's why. He hits a lot of balls softly in the infield, and he can still run.
A leadoff infield single. Suzuki with the good speed, as you saw, aboard at first now. And Brent Lillibridge moving up from the bottom of the order to the number 2 slot. We'll try to advance Suzuki at least. Lillibridge hitting 154 and fouls off that first pitch. It is 0-1. Ranger defense this afternoon. You have Murphy, Martin, and Cruz left, center, and right. Moreland at first, Kinsler and Profar up the middle. Adrian Beltre at third, A.J. Brzezinski behind the plate. And Derek Holland, the 26-year-old left-hander, is on the hill. Holland going first base way. Umpiring crew here this afternoon. Vic Carapazza calling the balls and strikes. Wally Bell, the crew chief, at first. Kerwin Danley at second. And Lance Barksdale is over at third. 94-degree afternoon as we get things underway at Rangers ballpark. Fastball in tight. Lillibridge taking it, and it evens the count now at 1-1.
One thing that's helped Derek this year is he's got a lot of double play ground balls, 14 of them, 8th best in the league. That's what he's looking for right here.
Holland, the high set. A little slide step, and that made it hard for Suzuki to get a good jump. Suzuki with 15 stolen bases this year and 18 attempts, so he still has that knack for swiping bags.
Yeah, he picks his spots pretty well. This guy doesn't get thrown out very much. When he goes, he's usually got a pretty good idea what he's doing.
A ball and 2 strikes. Suzuki establishes his lead early over there at first base. And he draws a throw from Derek Holland. Lillibridge acquired earlier this season from the Chicago Cubs. Yankees, with infielders especially going down right and left, needed somebody to come in and play. Got Lillibridge, and the young man they brought up, David Adams, just joining the fray. Ichiro did a little stutter step. Snap throw that time, and Ichiro almost caught flat-footed. Derek has done a very good job over the years of perfecting his moves, the different moves. He's always had a very good primary pickoff move. That's where he lifts the leg and it's deceptive, but he's added those quick throws, a couple of variants of that, and he's really able to give good base runners at first base a tough time in reading him. Also added that slide step, what the guys call the bull rush. 1-2 to Lillibridge. Suzuki a half step off further, and Lillibridge chops one to third. Beltre to second. The return not in time. This ball hit too slowly to turn him over, but Adrian gets the lead man Suzuki at second on the force.
Like a hanging breaking ball that Lillibridge got on top of. A long throw to second base, and the slowly hit ball made it pretty much impossible to get Lillibridge.
So Lillibridge, who runs well, but not as well as Suzuki, trades places with Ichiro. And it brings up Robinson Cano. He's handling the DH chores this afternoon. Cano, 7 out of 22 in his career against Derek Holland. And Derek tied him up with that good sinking fastball. It's 0-1. Cano, a home run, 5 RBI in those 22 at-bats.
Well, the way the game turned out last night, a low-scoring game, probably the biggest at-bat for Matt Garza was in the first inning with 2 men on to Cano. First 2 guys had singled. Garza made a couple of great pitches and struck Cano out. Pretty much turned it around from there.
Pulled foul. That off-speed delivery, staying up in the zone also. Cano in this series hasn't had a lot of success, but the pitches he has really hammered and had success on have been pitches up. Fastballs up, and on guys that tried to get the ball in on him didn't quite get it there. And he is very quick inside. And Derek Holland trying to throw with an off-speed pitch. That last one needs to get that pitch down. 0-2. Littlebridge the lead at first. There it is.
Is that what you're looking for?
That's kind of what we're looking for right there.
Cano might have missed his opportunity in that bat on the pitch before that, and then Derek made the pitch he was trying to make right there. Cano offered at it and had no chance. That's where he wants to keep that slider.
A big strikeout for Holland. That is out number 2, and it brings up Vernon Wells. Vernon, 239 with the average, 10 home runs, 37 driven in. Getting out of that slightly open stance as Holland comes to him, and pitches popped up. Playable in foul territory. Mitch Moreland in the coach's box. Waits for it to come down, puts it away, and that will do it. So the infield single to lead things off. No problem for Holland. He sends the Yankees down. After half inning, Yankees nothing, Rangers coming up. And the Rangers starting lineup is delivered by Fred Loya Insurance. Ian Kinsler getting ready to lead things off. He'll be followed by the DH today, and that's Elvis Andrews. Nelson Cruz bats third. Adrian Beltre, the third baseman, is the cleanup man. A.J. Pierzynski hits fifth. Mitch Moreland is the first baseman. Jurickson Profar, the start at short, he's batting seventh. David Murphy is in left field. And the number 9 hitter is the center fielder, Leonis Martin. Ian making his way to home plate. Hazy skies overhead as you see Hiroki Kuroda.
Yeah, he's a good pitcher. The numbers are good. They always are solid. 9-6 at 2.65 ERA. Last 3 starts been really good. ERA is below 1. He started at Yankee Stadium against the Rangers. Pitched well in that game. Gave up a couple of home runs though. 2 earned runs, 6 2/3.
First pitch to Ian, darts off the outside corner for ball 1. Kinsler hitting an even 280, and he has not had much success, as you can see, against Hiroki Kuroda. Just 2 for 11. Takes the next pitch high, 2 balls and no strikes. Not a lot of hitters in the Ranger lineup have sterling numbers against Kuroda. Of late, Ian Kinsler is struggling just a bit, 6 for his last 31. 2-0 pitch coming from the right-hander. Pulled foul down the left side. That will be back about 6 rows out of play, and the count moves to 2-1. Ian talking to himself a little bit after that.
And Kuroda's 38 years old. Doesn't look it. He's in great shape. Pitched 11 years in Japan. He's pitched 6 years now in the States.
It's the outside corner, 2-2.
He's actually pitched better here than he did in Japan. His ERA is better in the 6 years he's been in Texas. It had been in the States. And that's been in his late 30s. So he's one of those pitchers that's probably as good or maybe a little better.
When Ian lashes that one foul down the left side.
Last year he threw 220 innings for the Yankees, went 16-11. As a free agent, seems like teams shied away from him, maybe because of his age. Yankees definitely getting some great work from him.
Kuroda a long look in, and he has the sign he wants. Again, the 2-2 pitch. Pulled on the ground, or one hop. It wasn't on a hop. It was picked out of the air by Brent Lillibridge. He was going to have to play that on a short hop, and he didn't. Got it right off the dirt top. Well, Kinsler lines out for the first way. Take a look at the rest of the Yankee defense as you see that scorched line drive. Good reaction by Brent Lillibridge. Vernon Wells in left, Nokia Mesa in center, Ichiro is in right. Overbay at first, Adams and Nunez up the middle. You saw Lillibridge third, Austin Romine the catcher, and Hiroki Kuroda is on the hill. Kuroda making his 21st start of the year today for the Yankees. Elvis, a line drive to center field, base hit. And Elvis not wasting any time against Kuroda. He saw something he liked and just lined it right through the middle for the first base hit of the afternoon.
One thing Kuroda has done for the Yankees is, since he's been a Yankee, he's pitched great in the daytime. Don't know exactly what that means. Small sample, but over a couple of years, he's 9-2 with an ERA right around 2 during the daytime. Now those daytime starts haven't all been when it's 95 degrees out, so we'll see. This might be a test for him.
Here's Nelson Cruz. Elvis bluffing a move, and Cruz takes strike one. Nelly at 273, team leader with 23 home runs and 70 RBI. Not a lot of success against Kuroda for Cruz, 1 for 12. He's got Andrus at first with 1 out here in the first. Well, the Rangers, after scuffling to score first inning runs, have scored first inning runs in 2 of the previous 3 games against the Yankees in this series. And they have run their record, for what it's worth, to 16-2 when they score in the first. Chopper right at second base. Adams has it, steps on the bag, and doubles up Nelson Cruz. So the 4-3 double play ends the Ranger first. No runs a hit, nobody left. We're going to the second. No score on Fox Sports Southwest. Jim.
All right, appreciate it, Buzz. Nice afternoon crowd here for the Rangers, looking for another Ranger victory, you bet. And Community Corner this afternoon, we're talking about the Rangers' annual Labor Day race right here at the ballpark here in Arlington. You can finish right down on the field in the ballpark. To find out more about the annual Rangers Labor Day race, log on to TexasRangers.com/race. Buzz?
All right, Jim, thank you. Eduardo Nunez takes a strike to start off the second inning against Derek Holland. Nunez, Adams, and Overbay as Holland comes back to the plate, and Nunez hits a little fisted foul pop that will land on top of the Ranger dugout, bounce back into the seats, and the count moves to 0-2. Nunez at .235 with the average, no home runs, 9 driven in. He does have a home run in his career against Derek Holland. Got him on the fists again. That pitch fouled back to the right. Derek staying steadily inside on Nunez, and Eduardo only able to foul the pitch off, not get the good part of the bat on it. Another 0-2 pitch coming. And this one popped foul behind home plate. Last 5 ball games, Nunez been on a pretty good roll. Of course, he had that big game-tying triple here on Tuesday night against Joe Nathan in the 9th inning. .381 the average in those 5 contests. In the dirt, able to lay off. The count is now 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nunez spent quite a bit of time on the disabled list, along with everybody else, it seems like, in a Yankee uniform. He had come back last week. The Yankees were happy to have somebody with a little bit of experience. Beltre, high throw, and he can't get it. Adrian looked like he had trouble with his footwork after he came up with it, and Nunez will be aboard. We'll see how that's scored. I would think it's probably going to be a base hit. Going to be an error. They're going to charge Adrian with an error. His second in as many games.
Yeah, I think every time you see Adrian come up with the ball and plenty of time to throw, you just assume that that's going to be an out.
So Nunez aboard on the error. That's the 58th error that the Rangers have committed this year. David Adams, just recently recalled from AAA, is at the plate, and he takes strike 1. Adams in 35 games at the big league level this year, hitting .190. A couple of home runs, 9 driven in. Been up and down a bit. 38 games at AAA for the Yankees. There's a double play ground ball. And turned over 6-4-3. Rangers get it done. Good job by Derek Holland getting that pitch in a location where Adams was able to roll over on it and get that ground ball.
Yeah, we mentioned a little while ago that that's one thing Derek has done a good job of this year. It's really helped him getting the ground ball in a double play situation. Jammed him with a fastball up and in. Turned out to be a simple double play for Ian and Elvis. Hot day like this, keep your pitch count down. That's a great way to do it.
Eduardo Nunez not taking any chances. He got down. He was 25 feet from the bag at second base.
Sure did.
No, base is empty now. 2 away. Here's Lyle Overbay, left-handed hitting first baseman. Overbay had a cleanup the first 3 games of the series. He's down there in the number 7 slot with the left-hander Holland, and Derek nails down the outside corner. It's strike 1. Overbay, as you can see, an even .250 with 11 home runs, 43 driven in. 0 for 3 against Holland, and Derek misses just off the outside corner, 1-1. Back to the plate. And a chopper on 2 big hops. Ian playing the easy one and fires on to first. That'll do it. No runs, no hits, an error, and nobody left thanks to the double play. 1.5 innings in the books. No score, Rangers and Yankees. Question for you. Which of these career records will be the first to be broken? And will it be Cal Ripken's consecutive game streak, 26-32, or Mariano Rivera's 640 saves? Obviously, that's going to change a little bit as he gets more this year. Pete Rose with 4,256 hits, or Nolan Ryan, 5,714 strikeouts. Use the hashtag and go with the first names of the folks we talked about, and let us know which one, in your opinion, will be the first record to be broken, if any. So that last category of hashtag FS none. Adrian Beltre swinging and lofts a towering fly ball to right field. It's playable for Ichiro. That is out number one. Which one would you pick for those, Tom, of the records that would stand to be broken?
If I had to pick one, I'd have to, that I thought had a shot, I'd pick none of them. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Rivera's.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't personally. I don't think any of those records are going to be broken. But
been more guys around that area over the years. Derek Jeter, if he didn't get hurt and played 4 or 5 more years, might have been knocking on the door for Pete Rose's record.
Brzezinski fouls back the first pitch. There is the Yankee captain, Derek Jeter. Back on the disabled list for the second time this year after coming back and playing in one game with the Yankees. Swing and a miss, and Brzezinski now down in the count. No balls and 2 strikes.
If you count hits in Japan, Ichiro at the end of this year will be somewhere around 4,000 hits. Not quite as productive a player now as he was earlier in his career. His days as a regular, let's put it this way, they're not going to last much longer.
Yeah. Off the end of the bat, right back to Kuroda. Goes on to Overbay, and Brzezinski is out 1-3. Out number 2, and Mitch Moreland coming up. You know, looking at Ichiro's stats, if he had started his career as, say, a 22-year-old in the United States, he very well could be approaching Pete Rose's numbers.
Yeah, he could, because he'd be getting more at-bats over here for all those years in Japan. They don't play as many games in Japan, so it would be a possibility.
This is his 12th year, and he just passed the 2,000 game mark a couple of weeks ago, and at that mark he had 2,696 hits. And that's an amazing total, considering that, you know, Ichiro's spent the last part of his career in the United States. That's not the first 2,000 games that he played. Mitch takes just a little bit low for ball one. More than 253 the average. 14 home runs, 40 driven in. A big 2-run home run here on Tuesday night. Fortunately, the Yankees came back with a 9th inning rally and nullified it. Outside, 2-0. Saw the numbers for Moreland against Kuroda, 0 for 7. He does have an RBI. And ball 3 sails high and away. Well, Mitch trying to get aboard. 2 outs here in the second inning. Jurickson and Profar, the Rangers shortstop today, waiting in the on-deck circle. Kuroda to the line, 3-0 pitch. And he throws it right down the middle. The 3-1 is coming. Left center field, dying in a hurry, but over there, Vernon Wells makes the grab, and that will do it. Rangers gone in order. 3 up and 3 down. We have played 2 innings. We are scoreless in Arlington on Fox Sports Southwest. Where you go. It's available for iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Rangers baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and a lot more. Text at Bat to 31826, or you can visit TexasRangers.com for details. Top of the 3rd inning, scoreless ball game. Both teams with a base hit here today. Melky Mesa, the center fielder, leads things off against Derek Holland. And fouls off the first pitch to the right. It's 0-1. Mesa, Romine, and Suzuki, the first 3 to swinging against Derek Holland. See Mesa in limited playing time, just a 143 hitter. Breaking ball is chopped foul the other way. Bobby Thompson, the third base coach, handling that.
A couple of birthdays, Buzz. Irva Justice from Wiley is 94. Lindsey Lewis Pines from Texarkana is 88. Clyde Patterson from Iowa Park, 85. Alvis Edmondson from Arlington is 82. And on July 15th, Ruby Mimi King from Q-U-I-T-A-Q-U-E. Key.K? I don't know.
There's a blooper out there, and Profar going out, can't handle it. Made a good effort, but that ball right over his head as he stretched out for it. And Melky Mesa with a leadoff bloop single. That's how the third inning gets underway for the Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees have had the leadoff runner on in all 3 innings. So I'm not sure how to pronounce the city, but I do want to mention that Ruby King on July 15th was 102 years old. And great try by Profar right there, sprinting as hard as he could go, and he almost got to that ball. That would have been some kind of play. Last Monday, Woody Ennis from Louisville was 99 years old. We've got Woody Ennis at 99. Ruby King was 102. Happy birthday, everybody. And nice try, Jurickson.
So Mesa aboard. Austin Romine, the catcher, at the plate now. Right-handed hitter against Derek Holland. And Holland will check Mesa. Mesa with pretty good speed. And he's got him picked up. That's one way to check him. And Profar racing back, tags him. And the pickoff goes 1-3-6. I would say Holland checked him.
Well, Melky might have some good speed, but he was a little over anxious right there. Hadn't seen that move from Derek Holland. Although he'd seen the move from the dugout, he should have watched all the pickoff throws that Suzuki saw. I'm not sure he was going on that play.
No, I don't think so.
He just taking his secondary lead. Well, leadoff batter got on in the second inning on an error, raced by a double play. Little blooper, he's erased by a pickoff play.
Tried to take his secondary lead on Holland's primary move.
That's one of those one, Buzz, I've heard you talk about that. If you can throw it while he is shuffling off the bag,
yeah,
you know, I mean, he's not stopped. You can't get back if you're going the other way.
Yeah, it's real tough if you have 1 foot out off the ground. We don't have good foot. Boy, it's tough for a guy to make a quick move back. Romine, a drive to center. Backing up, Leonis Martin handles that. That is out number 2. And, you know, left-handers have the advantage of being able to stand there and watch what the runner's doing. And that's why you see a lot of runners establish their leads a little bit earlier against a left-hander so that the left-hander doesn't have the advantage of seeing when he picks that foot up or not.
And that move you're talking about that Derek's developing, that snap throw to first, that keeps you from getting too far off the bag before he goes into his stretch.
So base is empty, 2 away now, and here's Ichiro for the second time. Suzuki, a little tapper down the first baseline that went for a base hit in the first inning. Holland's pitch on the outside corner for strike 1. Suzuki now hitting at .278 for the year. Breaking ball is just a bit wide. 1-1. And strike 2 is called. Vic Carapazza, pretty good, generous outside corner today. You get an extra width of the ball or so out there occasionally. It's a little bit high. 2-2. See those pitches, 1 and 3 were both called strikes. And
someone else is victim of the Murphy zone.
Suzuki asked for time, tired of waiting as Holland and Brzezinski not able to agree on what to throw on the 2-2. Now they're together, and Holland back to the plate. Tried the breaking ball and missed, so the count has gone full for the second time to Ichiro. If Suzuki gets aboard with 2 outs, Brett Littlerbridge is waiting in the on-deck circle. Scoreless here in the top of the third. Payoff pitch. Slap towards short. Charging Profar, guns him out at first. Nice play by Jurickson Profar. So the side retired, no runs a hit, nobody left after 2.5. Rangers nothing, Yankees nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. Brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. And by Jack in the Box. Now's your chance to go big with Jack's Big Stack Burger. Now we move to the bottom of inning number 3. Jurickson Profar, Rangers shortstop, will start things off against Haruki Kuroda. And the strike is dealt to the outside corner. Profar, 238 with the average. 3 home runs, 11 driven in. Profar's numbers much better as a left-handed hitter this year. The switch hitter swinging on that pitch and didn't make contact. It is 0-2. Profar is a right-handed hitter hitting 176. Left-handed, 271. You see the last 14 games, regardless of the side of the plate, he's had a bit of a problem. Kuroda winds the 0-2 pitch. We'll try it again. Profar taking his time getting back in there. Kuroda on top of the hill, reading the signs. The right-hander's ready to work. Misses high. 1 ball, 2 strikes. It's the first time that Profar has faced Kuroda. He wasn't in the lineup against him in New York. And the count evens now at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Kuroda has excellent control. He's walked 1 or less in 26 of his last 38 starts. Won't beat himself. Occasionally can be prone to the home run ball. The Rangers hit 2 home runs against him in Yankee Stadium. In the 6 years he's been in the States, post-career Japan, he's never had an ERA above 3.8. He's been very consistent.
2-2 pitch hit up the middle, a base hit for Profar. A good job of hitting, got on top of that high fastball, and Profar aboard to start off the Ranger 3rd inning. And let's take time for a Mazda game break. Here's Rick Renner. Rick. All right, Rick. Yeah, it's been an odd year for Justin Verlander. David Murphy now steps in. Profar at first, nobody out. First pitch to Murphy, tails outside. It's 1 ball and no strikes. Murphy last night had 1 plate appearance and roughly knocked the ball out of the yard, knocked it into the Ranger bullpen off of Sean Kelly.
That was nice to go into the bottom of the 9th with a 2-run lead, a little more comfortable.
Kuroda, after a long hold, the 1-0 pitch is top foul down the first base line. It's a ball and a strike. Yeah, those insurance runs late in the game like that, boy, it just changes the whole mentality of both teams. Takes pressure off your bullpen a little bit. Takes more pressure, puts more pressure on your offense to get somebody on before you do anything. One swing of the bat, all of a sudden can't tie the game. Murphy in his last 6 ball games is starting to turn things around pretty well. That pitch off the outside corner. It's now 2-1. That home run last night for Murphy is the 11th of the year. Driven in 33. Kuroda checks Profar at first. And goes that way with a toss. And here is David Murphy in last night's ball game. Sean Kelly in 8th inning. 425 feet later, that ball came down with some re-entry burns on it. Up there now with a 2-1 count against Kuroda. Austin Romine flashing the signs out. Kuroda has one he wants. And we'll go first base way again. Kuroda spent the first 4 years of his major league career, of course, with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Signed with them and was in the big leagues in 2008. Won a total of 41 games for LA. Signed last year, and as Tom told you, a 16-game winner with the Yankees. Murphy hits it hard, but slices it out of play down the left side. And the count evens at 2-2. Profar led off the 3rd inning with a solid base hit to center field. He's over there, and Murphy at the plate with a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes waiting. Murphy pops that foul. And Kuroda came with that off-speed pitch and had Murphy just a bit out in front. Kuroda's out pitch, particularly the left-handers, that split-fingered fastball, and throw that about a third of the time. Fairly simple repertoire. Fastball, splitter, slider, and an occasional changeup. Murphy rolls a ground ball to second. The second for one. The return is not in time. Murphy able to leg out the return from Eduardo Nunez.
Yeah, when Kuroda's got it going, he's tough to get a good pitch to hit against. He mixes up his speed so well, all the pitches you talked about, Buzz. He generally keeps it out of an area where you're comfortable hitting the ball. An off-speed pitch, down and away. 2 strikes, tough to lay off of it, tough to predict how much it's going to move. And once you swing at it, it's tough to do much more than that with it.
So Murphy trades places with Profar. Now Murph aboard with 1 out. And it brings up Leonis Martin. Just getting the start today against Kuroda. And takes that big breaking ball, going inside for ball 1. Leonis Martin 2 for 2 with 2 home runs against Kuroda. Both those in the Bronx, and the Rangers were there at the end of June. Murphy, a modest lead at first as Kuroda checks him. Base hit center field. Murphy to second will stop there as Mesa gets the ball back in. Leonis Martin says, who is this Kuroda guy? I don't have any respect for him at all.
It's funny, you have guys you can hit, just like A.J. Pierzynski against Andy Pettit. Lefty versus lefty. Doesn't make much sense, but every time A.J. faces him, he has a good game. Maybe Kuroda's going to be that guy for Martin.
Need to pick a guy, though, that's a little bit younger than 38.
It's going to be around a little longer.
Be around
that's a
good
point.
But for now, that's going to be okay. So first and second, first time the Rangers have had 2 aboard at the same time, and takes them back to the top of the order for Ian Kinsler. Ian lined to third base as he led the game off for the Rangers this afternoon. Murphy at second, Martin at first, and Kuroda's first pitch is a called strike. A little belated call by Kip Carapazza, but a strike nonetheless. Ian at 279 with the average. 9 home runs, 38 driven in.
Whoa, that's one you very seldom see called a strike. I think the movement on that one fooled the umpire.
Yep.
That looked like a strike when he called it, and then it just dive bombed out of the strike zone.
That's that splitter that Kuroda throws, and it doesn't have a consistent break, like a breaking ball that has a consistent arc. That splitter is almost like a knuckleball sometimes. It breaks late, sharply. Murphy at second, Martin at first, establishing their leads as Kuroda is set. 1-1 pitch. Check swing, and it's strike 2. Kuroda, like a lot of good pitchers, has the ability to get tougher with men on base. Get a good look at the spray chart.
And Kuroda, with men in scoring position, has an opponent's batting average of 143. So exactly right, Buzz.
1-2 pitch. 2-2. Ian, the best of the Rangers as far as runners in scoring position, 344 for the season, a couple of home runs. He's driven in 30 of his 38 runs in those situations. Got Murphy and Martin just itching to take off and run for a while. And instead, Kuroda drops the anchor on this inning, slowing it down.
Might be feeling the heat out there.
Could be. It is a warm, muggy afternoon. Fortunately, the cloud cover is keeping it a little more bearable, but there's not much of a breeze here at Rangers Ballpark, and that can be on a warm summer afternoon. That can be a little bit tough. Not much of a breeze. Fans trying to make their own breeze. Flag's pretty much hanging limp. Two and two, the count to Kinsler. Rangers trying to get something going here in the third inning. Scoreless ball game. Kuroda now ready. Outside, Ian able to check his swing. The count has gone full.
Trying to make him chase. Got ahead in the count. Ian's not having any part of it. Ian's a tough guy to make Chase a bad pitch when he's behind in the count.
But Kinsler trying to make this a real big inning. He's got Elvis Andrus following him in the order. Kuroda set, a check of Murphy at second. Payoff pitch. There's that splitter again, and being able to just get a piece of it to stay alive.
It's tough to lay off. It probably wasn't a strike, but you had no idea it's going to drop like that. And that same pitch almost was called a strike earlier in the count anyway.
Yep.
Well, it kind of forces you to be aggressive and swing at it. Slightly lower than the pitch we were talking about. Almost the exact same pitch.
Romine flashed the signs out. Kuroda ready. Another payoff pitch. Pulled foul outside third. That one stayed up a little bit, but Ian just enough out in front of it to pull it into foul territory. But having a long at bat, Kuroda now at 40 pitches for the afternoon with one out here in the third inning. .21 pitches this inning for the Yankee right-hander. Murphy the lead from second. Leonis Martin away from first as Kuroda reads the signs. Pitch on the way. Foul tip into the glove of Austin Romine, and Kinsler down on strikes. Well, he had one up in the zone to work with and just couldn't quite make solid contact.
Yeah, he probably was looking for something down and away. Kuroda's trying to make him swing at a bad pitch, and he hung a slider right down the middle of the plate. Best pitch that Ian had in that at bat. He tried to hit it a little too hard and pulled off it just a little bit.
A very big strikeout for Hiroki Kuroda, and with two away now, Elvis Andrus will step in. Elvis took a liking to the first pitch that he saw this afternoon from Kuroda and smashed it into center field for a single in the first inning. Got two on and two out. Rangers have shown the inclination to start scoring two-out runs again. And a couple of times in this series had key two-out base hits. First pitch to him is low for ball one. Elvis with that first inning single, now back up to 249 with the average. So he's getting it going the right way. Murphy at second, Leonis Martin at first. One ball, no strikes the count as Kuroda comes set. Gets the outside corner. That evens things at 1-1. Elvis now is hit in 7 straight ball games. He's at just over 333. 364 is the current streak for Elvis. It's chopped foul, and the count moves to 1-2. Elvis also with an 11-game home hitting streak.
Kuroda taking a lot of time between pitches.
Nods in agreement with Austin Romine's call. Outside, 2-2.
He's really bearing down with a man in scoring position. Mentioned opponents this year with men in scoring position only hit 143 against him. Right-hand hitters on the season have only hit 207.
And Murphy away from second, Martin from first. 2-2 pitch way outside. The second straight hitter now. Kuroda has gone to a full count. And Elvis trying to extend the inning. He's able to get aboard. Rangers have their number 3 hitter, Nelson Cruz, waiting. Go with 2 outs. Now both Murphy and Leonis Martin will be off and moving with the next Kuroda offering. Long look in by Kuroda. Now he's going to back off. Romine going through the series of signs. And Kuroda set. Runners on the move, payoff pitch. Chopped right back to Corona, who goes up the ladder and comes down with it. Nice play by the Yankee right-hander. Side retired, no runs, 2 hits and 2 left. We have finished 3 innings. In Arlington, no score, Yankees and Rangers.
After school All-Stars and the Fox Sports Southwest girls, Kami and Liddy. Here we are with the All-Stars. You guys having a good time, I'm sure. Yes. Betsy, what's the After School All-Stars all about?
After School All-Stars is a national nonprofit organization. We're here at our North Texas chapter, and what we do is provide comprehensive after-school programming to make sure that our middle schoolers are going to be successful in high school.
All right, there we go. Well, you guys looking great. Keep on rooting on those Rangers. Good to have you out today, all right? There we go, Buzz.
All right, Jen, thank you. Brendan Lillibridge leading off the 4th inning, and Derek Holland fires a strike. It'll be Lillibridge, Cano, and Wells, the first 3 to do the swinging against Derek Holland. Scoreless ball game. Rangers with 3 hits, the Yankees with 2. And a little cue shot that into foul territory goes Mitch Moreland to make the catch. And Mitch had to get it. Normally you don't have to get a great jump on a pop-up to catch it. Mitch had to get a great jump on that.
Well, Derek throwing a lot of strikes. First pitch strikes, any pitch strikes. Thrown 40 pitches, 30 of them have been strikes. There's a little blooper you're talking about, right off the end of the bat.
So a very soft out number 1, and that's just fine with Derek Holland. Now you will face Robinson Cano. Cano struck out his first time up. Derek got him on a very sharp breaking ball. There's a strike to the outside corner, and Cano looks back at Vic Carapazzo to say, really? And the answer came back, yep, sure was. Holland to the wind, the 0-1 pitch. Out of play. Yeah, Cano's got to feel like he's marooned on an island somewhere, where he's hitting in the Yankee lineup. Nobody else around him is either A, doing very well when, say, Vernon Wells or Lyle Overbay hitting right behind him, or B, doesn't have the experience to get anything going. There's a line shot that Profar able to go down to his knees and make the grab. Holland ducking out of the way of that bullet.
That thing was sliced. Looked like a hard slider going to Derek.
Got his heart started.
Profar had to stay with that one. It was kind of sinking toward him.
You know, Holland almost got leather on that.
I'm just glad he got his body out of the way of it.
Better leather than some forehead. That was about the right height. So 2 gone. Here is Vernon Wells. And he takes strike 1. Vernon fouled out his first time up.
Last night in the game, Matt Garza had a great percentage of balls and strikes.
A line drive to left. David Murphy to his left.
He's getting better and better.
That he is. A 7-pitch inning for Derek Holland. He sends the Yankees out in order. We finished 3.5. No score. Rangers and Yankees on Fox Sports Southwest. Against the Angels. That'll be July 29th through the 31st. The series will feature a Reliant tote bag and a Noah and Ryan Beef $1 hot dog night. Great seats are still available for all 3 games, so get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. A lot of fans using the fans out here today. Trying to get some air moving around a very still afternoon. And Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 4th inning. A scoreless ball game. Nelson Cruz leading things off. A big rip and a miss on the breaking ball. Cruz bounced into a 4-3 double play back in the 1st inning. Rangers have 3 hits. Put 2 of them together in the 3rd, but couldn't get the big hit to get on the scoreboard run-wise. That pitch just inside to Nelly. 1 ball and 1 strike. See, the last 6 games, Cruz 7 strikeouts. And he's only gone 4 for 24. Rip and a miss. 1-2. He's also, he doesn't really bode very well for Cruz. Has not really had good success against the Yankees in his career. The 197 lifetime hitter against the Bronx pitchers. 2-2. Kuroda, and again a long look down to the wind goes the right-hander. And Cruz down swinging. Strikeout number 2 for Kuroda. 1 away, and Adrian Beltre coming up.
Throws his slider in a good location, probably a little bit off the plate. Got an Elliott offer at it. After Martin lined that ball into center field, he hadn't thrown a pitch to hit since then. I guess the one pitch he did throw the hit was the hanging slider to Ian that he missed.
Yep. Adrian Beltre takes a strike at the knees. Beltre skied to right field as he led off the Rangers' second today. Kuroda back to the plate. 1-1. Adrian 0 for 4 yesterday and just 5 for 25 on this homestand. Interesting statistic about the strikeouts. You saw 17 consecutive games now. Adrian Beltre has gone without a strikeout.
That's pretty unusual for a middle of the order hitter, boy.
Sure is. 75 consecutive at bats or plate appearances. Hits this one hard. Littlebrich, though, to the line has it. Straightens up, throws him out. 2 gone.
Nice play by Littlebrich. Showed a lot of athleticism there. Good quickness and a strong arm across the infield.
Fans, we invite you to tune in each Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest for Chevy Hometown Kids. It's not about the score, it's about the experience. So 2 outs. A.J. Pierzynski up there with the bases empty. Off speed, low and inside for ball 1. A.J. hit a tapper right back to Kuroda his first time up. Pierzynski, of course, that big night last night, 2 for 4, a home run, a couple of runs driven in that Ranger 3-1 win. Out of play to the left side, and the count evens, and a ball and a strike. Average at 282, as you can see for AJ. Pulls this one on the ground to Overbay at first. Pretty sure-handed down there, and Overbay takes it to the bag. That will do it. Rangers out in order. We have finished 4 innings in Arlington. Rangers nothing, Yankees nothing on Fox Sports Southwest. At your favorite lottery retailer. Now we head to the top of the 5th inning. Joining us, as always, in our Fox Sports Southwest broadcast, Mark McLemore, the co-host of Rangers Live before and after every Rangers ball game. Mac, I guess not unexpected, pretty good pitcher's duel has broken out here.
Very good pitcher's duel. There hadn't been a whole lot of offense, going on today, and neither pitcher's giving in. None of them are in the middle of the plate. They're throwing quality strikes, keeping guys off balance. So it's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, both guys that have come into play here today in Holland and Kuroda that had been pitching well for the better part of a month, and they're just continuing what they've been doing. And plus, they're playing against each other, whose teams are not scoring prolifically right now, to say the least.
Yeah, so I guess we probably could have predicted a little bit of this, but then I guess if we had done that, it'd probably be 7-6 right about now.
It would have been, yeah. It would have been.
But I like what I'm seeing out of Derek Holland. He's continuing to look the way he looked in his first 7 or 8 starts. So he's being very consistent, attacking that strike zone, and I like what I'm seeing today.
He's got Eduardo Nunez down in the count, 0-2. Nunez, a towering fly ball down the left field line. Murphy, a long run into the corner, and the ball is fair. Bounces right up against the wall, and it's going to be a double. Ground rule double. Nunez pulling it right down the line, just able to sneak it in.
David was pulled way over in left center field for Nunez. That ball was up in the air a long time, but David had a long run to get to it, too. You see where he starts off and how far he's got to go. It's also hard to be going as fast as you can when you get to the line. Otherwise, you're going to kill yourself running into the wall right there.
Ball bounding up and over the fence. Well, the ground rule double leads things off for the Yankees. They are giving Derek Holland the first test of the afternoon. A swing and a miss by David Adams. It is 0-1.
Yeah, Derek's thrown 50 pitches. 80% of them have been strikes. The hitter might as well swing at the first pitch because it's been a strike every time.
Adams, as you saw, grounded into a double play his first time up. Hits this one in the air to right center field. Tagging is Mesa, or Nunez. And the scouting report apparently had gotten around because Leonis Martin rifled a strike in there, and Nunez said, no, I don't think so.
That ball was right on the bag, too. If it wasn't cut off, that thing would have been about knee high right on the bag.
I don't think he would have had a shot with either guy out there. If Nelly had caught it,
no,
it wouldn't have mattered.
You get a good shot of whether it's on line or not right here. I think it was.
That would be yes. Yeah. So an important out. He keeps Nunez at second base with one away now. And it brings up Lyle Overbay. Overbay grounded out to second base in the second inning. Veteran infielder, outfielder. 249 the average for the season. And he's first ball swinging. Lazy fly ball to center field. Leonis Martin, easy grab. That's out number 2. Derek Holland making a couple of good pitches to both Adams and Overbay. Gets 2 critical outs. Now Melky Mesa will come up. I think Derek might be a little hot at himself after that leadoff double, knowing where the defense was and giving Nunez a pitch that he could pull against the defense. I think Derek was a little disgusted with his execution on that pitch, and he's come back and made some very good pitches to Adams and Overbay. Mesa had a base hit to left field his first time, and he fouls one off to the right. It is 0-1.
Well, they are going up there swinging at the first pitch. It's been a strike. 53 pitches, 43 strikes. Might be the best ratio we've seen from any pitcher all year.
Better than 4
games anyway.
You don't get ratios that good on a video game. 0-1 pitch. Got him on the fist. Mesa fouls it straight back. 0-2. And there's a man who was pretty impressive throwing strikes himself last night, Matt Garza. That was a whale of a ball game.
Not a bad job, and I like that number down at the bottom. 95 pitches. You pitch into the 8th inning, you've got 95 pitches. You're being very economical with your pitches.
Yep.
You're not going 3-2 to every batter, that's for sure.
Hollins 0-2 pitch. Gets him off the plate with that fastball inside, 1-2. You got the impression last night that Matt Garza had a real good idea of what he wanted to do and was able to execute almost every pitch.
And that's the way he normally is. You know, most of his outings, that he has a really good idea of exactly what he wants to do when he goes out, and it's whether or not he executes that plan or not.
Popped him up. Going out is Profar. Coming on David Murphy. David Murphy calling off Profar. The left fielder takes care of it. Good job by Derek Holland working around that leadoff double. No runs, a hit, and one man left. Halfway through the ball game. Rangers nothing, Yankees nothing. Special benefit on August the 20th, that's during the Ranger telecast, to raise funds to support tornado relief in both Oklahoma and North Texas. You can bid on one-of-a-kind sports and entertainment packages during this live auction. Stay tuned to Fox Sports Southwest for more details, and we invite you all to get involved and support that great relief fund. Hiroki Kuroda back to the hill. Mitch Moreland starts off the Ranger fifth inning and takes strike one. Scoreless ball game, each team with 3 hits. Moreland 0 for 1, a fly ball to left, his first time up there. Kuroda's 0-1 pitch. Well, Mitch continuing to work his tail off, trying to get things squared around, and you know, he shows glimpses every once in a while of really pounding the baseball, and then gets back into a funk like that last swing where he's just off balance, timing isn't there, and just can't seem to hang on to that good feeling for any length of time. You know, one of the toughest things about hitting is most players know exactly what they're doing wrong. It's just fixing it is the problem. You get into a game and you know you can't stop doing what you've been doing wrong, but you know exactly what it is, whether it's, you know, my stride is too long, it's too short, I'm behind, I'm ahead, I'm off balance. You know exactly what it is, but fixing that problem during the game is very, very difficult. I know it was difficult for me. Right, and you know, and people point to the fact that the best hitters are only successful 3 out of 10 times, and that would go to the point you're talking about, Mac, that it's not that easy. Moreland gone on strikes as Kuroda gets his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon. 1 gone, and Jurickson Profar coming up. Time for another Mazda game break. Here's Rick Renner. Rick? All right, Rick, thank you. Profar singled to open up the Ranger third inning. And he shoots one by the pulled in Lyle Overbay to right field. And Profar, 2 out of 2. Boy, he turned on that pitch in a hurry. Flashing that by Overbay, and well, Jurickson aboard for the second time.
Pitch on the inside. Well, it's not actually not on the inside part of the plate, right in the middle of the plate. Good pitch to hit. That's why he hit it so hard.
Well, the fourth hit of the afternoon. Profar has half of those hits. He's at first with 1 out. David Murphy is the hitter. Murph grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up there. And first ball swinging, skies to left field. Backpedaling a few steps. Vernon Wells makes the grab, and he will fire back into second. Profar remains at first. He's there with 2 outs now for Leonis Martin. Martin, a single to left in the third inning. You mentioned Leonis, perfect in his career, now 3 for 3 against Kuroda. 2 home runs and a single, and might as well go ahead and make it 4 for 4 as long as you're here. Profar diving back as Kuroda just took a quick look at him. .278 the average for Martin. Infield and outfield playing Martin just about straight away. Profar, the runner at first. You can see the infield maybe a step around to the right, but the outfield almost rather a diagram than a scoreboard. Kuroda almost throwing that away. It's been a while since Kuroda has made an error. Much Dave Anderson, and he's getting out of the way.
Wake up call.
He wears a helmet over there.
Kuroda with the first pitch, and it's off the outside corner. 1 ball, no strikes. Martin, .333 is average at home this year. You look at some of these Ranger averages at home, they're all very, very good, and it's even more surprising when you put that in the context of them not playing well here the last month and a half. Hard to figure out sometimes. A rip and a miss, a little behind the fastball. 1-1. Profar, a pretty good lead at first. Kuroda checks him as he comes set. It's just off the outside corner. 2-1. Kuroda staring in as though he thought that should have been a strike.
Man, you are begging if you want that thing. That's out of the Murphy zone right there, boy.
Nothing wrong with a little begging from time to time.
I've seen a few pitchers do that from time to time.
Here we go.
That's out of play to the left. The count evens at 2-2. Oh, and hitters never beg, right?
Never.
We don't beg for anything. We just complain when they're called strikes.
Okay. I see how it is. I can tell I'm not going to win this argument. Not with two of you.
2-1.
No, we got you today.
Sorry.
No.
No, I'd like to see that pitcher out there on the mound not get a call go his way and he just stop and look at the umpire for a second. I'm like, yeah, keep looking at him. Yes. I know I'm getting the next call.
Kuroda's 2-2 pitch. And low and inside, so the count has gone full. And with 2 outs now, Profar will be off and moving with the next pitch. Take a look at the AT&T U-verse reverse replay. This was in June at Yankee Stadium. Leonis Martin, a pair of home runs against Hiroki Kuroda in that ballgame. Leonis is singled and is only at bat today, and he has a full count now. Profar on the move, the pitch hit in the air to shallow center field. Going out is the second baseman Adams. On comes Mason, and juggling the ball a little bit, able to hang on, and that's going to do it. Other side retired. Matt, thanks for joining us. We will see you right after the ballgame on Rangers Live. No score. The 6. When you change everything, you change everything. Scoreless ball game as we head to the top of the 6th inning. A warm and muggy afternoon here at Rangers Ballpark. All manner of fans in evidence here. And in use also. Derek Holland has been hot. He has cooled off the Yankees pretty well. Just the 3 base hits so far as he goes to work. And the first pitch is grounded fair down the third baseline by Austin Romine into the corner and kicks out. Romine to second, and he will check in right there. So the second straight inning that the Yankees have led things off with a double. Last inning it was Eduardo Nunez who was stranded right there by Holland and company. Now it's Austin Romine starting off the 6th inning.
Yeah, Romine was only hitting 165 coming into the game, but he got a fastball on the inside part of the plate, took a good swing at it, just ripped it right inside the line. Derek maneuvered around it last inning, going to try and do it again this inning. There's only been 1 inning. That was the 4th inning when Derek retired the leadoff hitter. And they're starting to swing at the first pitch because they know it's going to be a strike.
Ichiro around a bunt and bunts it in the air. Foul as Adrian Beltre was coming on. I think Adrian thought for a second about diving. Well, that's probably not a good idea. And then backed off and the ball was foul. It's 0-1. Ichiro, one of those guys, though, you got to be careful. You're going to sacrifice bunt can turn into a base hit. 0-1 the count to Suzuki, who's 1 for 2. Had a first inning single. Also grounded to short. Again, Suzuki around his if to bunt. And takes low. It's 1 ball, 1 strike.
Has not thrown a ball on the first pitch to a hitter the whole game.
Couple of looks at second, the 1-1 pitch. Suzuki gets this one down. It's a good bunt. Krzyzewski can have to hurry and just does get him with Kinsler covering first base.
About 5 or 6 years ago, they might not have gotten Ichiro on that bunt.
The sacrifice goes 2-4, and on to third goes Austin Romine.
Got to go to work here. Man on third base. First time we've had a man on third base.
Well, the Rangers in this scoreless ball game pulling the infield all the way in. Brent Lillibridge has grounded into a fielder's choice and popped out. Obviously have to be aware of the squeeze possibility, and for that, among other reasons, Holland working from the stretch, and that's going to be dunked into left field for a base hit. In to score, going for two is Lillibridge. He's in with a headlong dive, and the Yankees have gotten on the board first. It is 1-0 New York. Well, Lillibridge picking on that fastball from Holland, drove it into left for the RBI double.
They're going up, they're swinging right from the start. Boy, they're looking for a fastball on the first pitch, and they're letting it fly. Lillibridge first pitch hitting the other night drove in the 5th run in that 5-4 game. Very similar hit. Hit a little bit more towards center field the last time. Not hit all that hard, but found a hole.
So 2 doubles in the inning. Yankees on the board, 1-0. Robinson Cano is the hitter. Cano is struck out and lined to shortstop. 1 ball, no strikes. Cano, an even 300 with the average. Holland a check of second. 1-0 pitch. Slowly hit down the first baseline. It's going to stay fair. Holland gets to it and throws him out. And Derek had to pick it up and throw him out because that ball was not going to go foul.
That was a nice play, too. He had to throw it where he threw it to, or he would have hit the runner right in the back.
Now Joe Girardi going to go out and see what the fuss with Wally Bell was down there. Bell arguing with Robinson Cano and Mick Kelleher, the first base coach. You know, Wally Bell explained his position, and Joe Girardi, okay, fine.
See the angle that Derek has. Mitch sets up with his glove towards second base to give Derek something to throw at. Otherwise, he's going to hit Cano right in the back.
Yeah, and Cano was where he was supposed to be running wise, too. He was right on the line. And that's perfectly legal for the base runner to do that.
Yeah.
So 2 outs. Here's Vernon Wells, who is 0 for 2. Breaking ball is in the dirt. Nice block by A.J. Przinsky. Well, the Yankees have put together a pair of doubles in this inning. And a leadoff double by Romine, then a 1-out double by Brent Lillibridge. Lillibridge now over at third base with 2 outs. Fastball, the inside corner. 1-1 to Wells. Vernon is fouled out and lined to left field today. Another ball in the dirt. It's 2-1. Ron Washington trying to figure out some way now to get his offense to come back to life against Hiroki Kuroda. Derek Holland pitching a very good ball game. Finds himself trailing 1-0. On the inside corner, the off-speed pitch floated in. It's 2-2.
Good pitcher's pitch. Right on the inside corner.
Crowd making some noise, getting behind Derek Holland and the Rangers. Asking for the left-hander to finish off this inning. 2-2 pitch. That's low and inside. Holland tried that spot again. And the count has gone full. Well, with Wells, the number 4 hitter, if he's able to get aboard, Eduardo Nunez, the shortstop, is waiting in the on-deck circle. Holland with the payoff pitch. Walking. We're to make sure that Wells is going to have a tough time with that inside fastball, and that's going to bring Mike Maddox out. First walk issued by Holland this afternoon. So Mike going out to give him a little breather, a little mental breather, and get him refocused on the task at hand, and that's to get Nunez and stop the Yankees dead in their tracks. They have taken the lead 1-0. Mike out there imploring Derek Holland to do what he needs to do to keep it 1-0, give the Rangers an opportunity to come back and hit. Lillibridge, the runner at third. Vernon Wells over at first. 2 outs. Nunez today has been on via an error, and he's also doubled. Hit the fly ball double into the left field corner last inning, but got no further than second base. Breaking ball is chopped foul. It's 0-1. Nunez now 9 for his last 23 trips. He has been on a pretty good streak since coming back off the disabled list. Holland okays the sign. He's ready. And the pitch is skied to shallow left field. Long run in. David Murphy making the call, and Murphy in fair territory makes the grab, and that will do it. But the Yankees cash in on a couple of doubles. They strand 2. We are going to the bottom of the 6th. It's now the Yankees 1, the Rangers 0. Today's jackpot is worth $100 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Today, the Rangers are hitting for Billy Birdwell from Jacksboro. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam during the inning, Billy Birdwell from Jacksboro will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, the Yankees with a 1-0 lead after plating a run in the top of the inning. Now the Rangers with the top of their order, going after Hiroki Kuroda here in the bottom of the sixth. Ian Kinsler 0 for 2 today, a line drive out and a strikeout. Kuroda's first pitch is a little bit high for ball one. Kins now at 278 with the average. Kuroda back to the plate. Fisted him with that fastball, and Kinsler fouls it off. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ian Kinsler, like Nelson Cruz, not good numbers career-wise against the Yankees. Ian just a .211 career hitter against New York, and that is his second lowest against any opponent. All the way to the backstop, 2-1. Kinsler worst off against the Toronto Blue Jays. He only hits .205 against them. But up here with an opportunity to get aboard, he would represent the tying run on base if he can get there. Kuroda's 2-1 pitch. Ground ball toward the hole and through. A base hit for Ian.
That's one of the few fastballs that was over the middle of the plate. He saw maybe a breaking ball or two, but not many fastballs have been in the good part of the zone. And he's mixed his pitches up so well. It's tough to sit on any one pitch. That was a pretty good pitch to hit, though, right in the center square. And Ian took advantage of it. Rangers have their leadoff hitter aboard with the middle of the order guys coming up.
And we'll see what Ron Washington decides to do with Elvis Andrus up there. Elvis, of course, the leading sacrifice bunter in the American League. And we'll see if he's asked to sacrifice here in the 6th inning with Kinsler aboard and nobody out. Elvis 1 for 2 today. Singled his first time up. Kinsler a pretty good lead at first. No bunt here, and the pitch inside for ball 1. This is probably a function, Tom, of Ron Washington believing Elvis is swinging the bat well enough to let him go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and the Rangers, he probably just doesn't want to give up and out. Elvis has a hole to shoot at between first and second. Always have the possibility of a hit and run. Elvis makes pretty good contact.
Kuroda high set. There goes Kinsler. The pitch swung on and missed. The throw to second, they got him.
Not so much for that.
Elvis got tied up with that pitch in, couldn't make contact, and Kinsler, not getting a stealing jump, was thrown out by a couple of steps. Well, that removes the tying run from the base paths, and 1 away now. The count of 1 ball and 1 strike to Elvis Andrus. Broken back ground ball deep in the hole. Throw by Nunez, not in time. Elvis able to leg it out. He is aboard with 1 out.
A good try by Nunez. He knew that he didn't really have time to stop, plant, and throw. But he got to it as quickly as he did, got rid of it with something on it as quickly as he could. Unfortunately, Elvis was running fast enough to beat it out. Get a good look at it right here. Throwing it immediately, even though he bounced it, still got it over there quick.
Well, that takes a strong arm to do
that. Sure does.
Wow. So Elvis aboard with his second hit of the afternoon. 1 away. Nelson Cruz rounded into a double play in the first and struck out in the 4th inning. And we'll see if Elvis has designs of swiping second and get himself in the scoring position. Cruz a .272 hitter. Kuroda checks him as he goes to the set. Pitch outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Over the last 20 ball games for Cruz, he's hit right at 300. RBIs at a dozen. Had 3 home runs, and he's been very, very consistent over that streak. Trying to get the Rangers either in scoring position or on the board here. Pops it foul right behind home plate. It is 1 ball and 1 strike. Kuroda is patching the 80 pitch mark, about ready to throw his 82nd of the afternoon. 50 strikes out of the first 81 pitches. Got Andrus at first, a 1-1 count with 1 out. Elvis doing a little groundskeeping over there at first base. Where he's getting his lead. He needed some solid footing over there and didn't feel like he had it. Elvis getting that lead established early. Kuroda again checks him early. Throw over.
Well, Kuroda's just keeping him close in a 1-run game. He doesn't want to see the Rangers get a man into scoring position. He slows things down with men on base, but he's bearing down, trying not to make a pitch to a hitter that the hitter can handle, and trying to keep the runner close. Fans don't like it. They don't care how many times Derek throws over there,
though. Kuroda again tossing the first. That one pretty close. Yeah, the other thing, Tom, that it does when you hold the ball that long, slow things down, it makes good base runners a little bit antsy. They like to have a good rhythm, get off the bag and go. And it makes it hard for a good base runner to get that rhythm going. The ball and a strike. Cruz waiting. He takes the pitch outside. And this at bat, Nelly not offering it that breaking ball that's off the outside corner. That's what struck him out in the 4th inning. Elvis at first, talking with Lyle Overbay. He had a 1-out infield single. The inning started with Ian Kinsler singling to left, but he was shot down on a missed hit and run opportunity. Caught stealing. Fouled away to the right, and the count evens at 2-2.
With all the off-speed pitches that Kuroda throws, he's got a pretty good fastball too. He's got good movement on it. It's 92 or 93 miles an hour. Disguises when he's going to throw it pretty well too. So tough to really be right on it when you see it.
And he hasn't thrown that many in a hittable spot in the strike zone.
Not many at all.
2-2. Kuroda sets. Way outside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. So the count has gone full with Cruz. And with 1 out, we'll see if Ron Washington turns Elvis Andrus loose. Cruz trying to extend things a bit. Adrian Beltre, Ranger cleanup man, waiting in the on-deck circle. Elvis, the lead from first as Kuroda is ready. And the tapper foul at home plate. Andrus was not running on that pitch. Boone Logan, the only left-hander available in the bullpen, the only one down there in the bullpen. Loosening and looking probably toward the tandem of A.J. Brzezinski and Mitch Moreland, the next 2 left-handers that follow Adrian Beltre. But right now, it's Nelly Cruz against Hiroki Kuroda. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Elvis Andrus taking the lead, 1 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. Rangers trailing 1-0. Well, we had one there to work with and just fouled it straight back. Nelly, love to have that one back. But the off-speed pitch that stayed up just about belt high.
Probably about 430 feet to right center field.
You can see the breakdown. 50% fastball, 50% off-speed pitches from Kuroda. Again, a 3-2 is on the way. Inside, ball 4. Nelly taking a very close pitch, and Kuroda kind of looking at home plate like, where was that thing? So Kuroda walks his first man of the day, and that puts runners at first and second with one out.
Just a little bit inside. The movement on that ball caused it to tail out of the strike zone. It's inside, Joe. We saw it. He can't tell from over there. He can see high and low from the dugout, but he can't tell inside and outside. So just in case he was asking us, I wanted to let him know.
Well, he would sure
appreciates the help.
Sure. Well, the color-coded charts down there that almost every team now is going through some form of. So, 2 on with 1 out. Adrian Beltre. A fly ball and a ground ball this afternoon. 0 for 2. Batting average now down to .308.
Rangers had a couple of men on in the 3rd inning. That's the only inning they've had 2 men on base other than right now.
Adrian in a pretty good slump with runners in scoring position. A chance here, though, to turn all that around as he takes in the dirt. And a nice block by Austin Romine.
Very nice, because Elvis had a great jump. If that was anywhere away from Romine, he would have been to 3rd base.
Well, Elvis has gotten so he does that so well, anticipates that ball in the dirt.
Just have to be careful you don't get too far off. If the catcher picks it clean, he can throw you out trying to get back.
A 1-0 the count to Beltre. Adrian, in his last 24 at-bats, has just 3 hits. That's a 125 average with runners in scoring position. Up here, though, with a chance with Andrus at second, Cruz at first. 1 out in the Rangers' 6th inning. Fly ball, shallow right field. Coming on toward the line, Suzuki slides into foul territory and can't come up with it.
That was a great try. And David Murphy faced a similar thing going after the double that Nunez hit earlier in the game. When you're going full speed like that, you have to either slow up or slide. Otherwise, you go full speed into the side of the wall. There's just not enough room to stop after you get by the foul line if you're going full speed. It's one way to do it, is slide and let that cushion your blow into the wall.
So Elvis back to second, Cruz back to first. 1-1, the count to Beltre. Adrian, 22 home runs, 58 RBI. Now time called. Is Romine going to go out and have a little talk with Kuroda? Remember, with all the injury problems that the Yankees have had, a lot of the pitcher-catcher matchups are not familiar with each other. Batteries don't work together too much other than maybe spring training. And so there are a lot of uncertainties as far as the individual likes and dislikes. Now the 1-1. That ball is hit well to left center field. Going back is Mason. The ball kind of dies out there. He makes the grab. Coming to third is Andrus. He slides in ahead of the throw. That ball looked a lot better coming off the bat than it turned out to be. Adrian must have gotten that down toward the trademark a little bit. Elvis able to advance 90 feet. There are now runners at the corners at 2 outs, and Joe Girardi is coming out to the mound. Got the left-hander Brzezinski waiting to be next, and you got the left-hander Logan in the Yankee bullpen.
Rangers get a man to third base. That's the first time they've done that. Girardi just wanted to check with Kuroda. He's going to leave him in there. AJ had a good game last night against Andy Pettit, a left-hander. Mitch Moreland, the next hitter, hit a home run against Logan earlier in this series. Kuroda's still throwing the ball well, nibbling around the strike zone, but having some pretty good success doing it.
The runners at the corners. AJ this afternoon has grounded out twice. Once back to the mound and once to first base. One thing now with Kuroda, the split-fingered fastball isn't quite as good a pitch with a runner at third. Pitch outside for ball one. You worry about that ball going in the dirt. Last night, AJ Pierzynski against Andy Pettit.
I'm not sure that ball would go out today, Buzz. There's absolutely no wind.
Yeah.
Last night, AJ, after the game, he thought that the wind might have helped it a little bit. He was surprised it went that far.
Kuroda's 1-0 pitch. Line drive, left field. On comes Wells. Slides and makes the catch. And AJ robbed. The Rangers robbed. They had a chance to at least tie the game. But Vernon Wells, a nice sliding catch. And the Rangers are gone in the sixth. 2 hits, and they leave 2. On to the seventh. 1-0 New York. Gary Collin gave up that run in the 6th inning. He has done a very good job in 6 innings and worked just 5 hits and a lot of first pitch strikes. Brent Lillibridge, the RBI double to score the only run of the game as he drove home Austin Romine.
Yeah, Derek's got a very low pitch count too. He's only thrown 71 pitches. Last night Matt Garza pitched 7 1/3. And Derek got a chance to surpass that today the way he's throwing right now.
David Adams, the second baseman, will lead things off. Adams 0 for 2 with a double play grounder and a fly ball to center. Takes high for ball one. Adams 186 for the year at the big league level. Strike to the inside corner. Adams spent about 2 months from the middle of May through the middle of July before being optioned, and came back with the injury with the big league club. Hit .309 at AAA for the Yankees. 38 games down there. Base hit to left. Pitch stayed up from Holland, and David Adams aboard with a leadoff single.
First baseman Lyle Overbay.
No, the hits are now even at 6 apiece. Holland has had the leadoff man aboard now in each of the last 3 innings. He was able to work around a leadoff double in the 5th, but last inning, not able to work around the leadoff 2-bagger. See how he does with the leadoff single. Lyle Overbay, the hitter. Overbay 0 for 2. He's around to bunt. And the first pitch is high to him. Next pitch, and is skied to left center field. Moving toward the gap is David Murphy. Waits for it to come down and puts it away. That is out number 1. So Overbay skies out after showing bunt on the first pitch. One away, and Milky Mesa coming up. Well, folks, on July 30th, the first 30,000 fans will be treated to a reusable tote bag. That's courtesy of Reliant. This handy tote bag is perfect for shopping trips or maybe an afternoon at the pool. And you can get one July 30th. Rangers take on the Angels that night. Tickets are available at TexasRangers.com. First pitch to Mesa. Fastball catches the inside corner. Milky Mesa, the center fielder today, is 1 for 2. He singled to start off the 3rd inning, then Eric Holland promptly picked him off. David Adams, the runner at first, a much more modest lead than what Mesa had. Fly ball to right field. That sends Cruz back a bit. Plenty of time to get over there, though. Nelson makes the catch. Out number 2 with Adams remaining at first, and Austin Romine will come up.
Catcher Austin Romine.
Holland walking around the mound a little bit. Still under 80 pitches. It's been that kind of an afternoon where when he's needed to throw strikes, he has thrown them. Romine doubled and scored the run last inning. Also lined to center field, so he's hit the ball hard a couple of times. Thinking fastball there, and he didn't get it.
And last time up, he got that fastball. That's what he doubled down the line with to start the rally that they had to get the 1 run. Crossed him up a little bit right there.
See the inning by inning breakdown. That is excellent work by Derek Holland.
Okay, very similar to the pitch counts inning by Matt Garza yesterday.
Yep. Pitch is low, 1-1 now. The count to Austin Romine. Yeah, and very similar results too. Garza in 7 1/3 last night, just 1 unearned run, and Derek Holland 1 earned run, and through 6 2/3 this afternoon. Difference is the Rangers were able to get on the board last night. They have not been able to break through against Hiroki Kuroda yet. 1-1 pitch coming. That ball's hit well to center field. Going back, Leonis Martinez over his head and bounces up over the wall and out of play. And that's going to save the Rangers a run. If that ball stays in play, David Adams scores easily from first base, but because it's a ground rule double, the runner is obliged to stay at third. Derek Holland of the Rangers catching a break there.
You wouldn't know that Romine was hitting 160 coming into the game, although he's got a pretty good pitch to hit right there, a fastball right down the middle of the plate. ball hard. Last 2 times up. Doubles in the 6th inning and the 7th inning.
So now runners at second and third with 2 outs. Ichiro comes up for his 4th plate appearance of the day. He's 1 for 2, I should say, with a sacrifice bunt.
You don't see many ground rule doubles hit the center field here.
No, you don't.
Where the ball bounces onto the grass. And obviously there's been a lot of games played here, so it's tough to remember when the last one was, but they're few and far between.
Ichiro fouling back that fastball. It's 0-2. Suzuki an infield single in the 1st inning, ground ball to short in the 3rd, and had a sacrifice bunt in the 6th. Got Adams at 3rd, Romine at 2nd. Derek Holland trying to keep this at a 1-run game. Towards short, Profar across the diamond, dugout by Mitch Moreland, and that will do it. So a good job by Derek Holland to work around the single-double combination. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. Stretch time in Arlington. Yankees 1, Rangers 0. Night from now through August 13th, and you can enter to win free Rangers tickets and a VIP Rangers experience. Visit otbfanzone.com for more details. Now Hiroki Kuroda back out to the hill to start the bottom of the 7th. The Yankees leading the Rangers 1-0. See the Yankees with 7 hits now, the Rangers with 6. It'll be Mitch Moreland, Jurickson Profar, and David Murphy to face Hiroki Kuroda. Kuroda has just walked 1 this afternoon. He has struck out 3. Facing Mitch Moreland, who has struck out and flied to left field. This afternoon, the finale of the homestand. Rangers lost the first 3 to Baltimore after the All-Star break. They have won 2 of the first 3 against the Yankees as they get ready to wrap up this stand. And the first pitch well inside, bounding to the backstop. It is 1 ball and no strikes.
Well, Joe Girardi had Boone Logan. There he is in the bullpen, number 48, warmed up. Might not have wanted to bring him in to face Mitch, since Mitch took him deep a couple of days ago. But he is ready. Claiborne, the other guy getting loose right now. Good changeup. Wow.
Mitch is swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kuroda approaching that 100 pitch mark. Right-hander okays the sign, goes into the wind. Morgan a tapper back to the mound. Kuroda fields it and throws and gets him. Well, with one out, Jurickson Profar coming up. Let's take time for a Mazda game break with Rick Renner. Rick. All right, Rick, thank you. Profar, 2 for 2 today against the rookie Kuroda. Pair of singles, one to center, one to right. Now hitting at 248 as he goes after that first pitch and fouls it back.
The Rangers needed the long ball yesterday, and by the feel of this game, they need one today, too. It feels like a tough game to put together 2 or 3 hits to score a run. Almost did it last inning. He had a couple of men on, had a couple of hits, had a caught stealing and a walk. Brzezinski lined that shot to left field, hit it very well.
1-1, the count to Profar. I'm going to give Kuroda a lot of credit here this afternoon. And a ground ball out to second. Adams up with it. That is out number 2. And Kuroda retires Profar for the first time this afternoon. That brings up David Murphy. Murphy 0 for 2 is grounded into a fielder's choice and fly to left field. Kuroda's first pitch. Blowing outside. Last time that Kuroda started against the Rangers in this ballpark was a year ago April. He worked 6 2/3 innings and ended up losing that ball game 2-0. And this one pulled weakly on the ground to second. Adams to first, that will do it. So the Rangers go very quietly in the 7th on 3 ground balls. We're going to inning number 8. It remains the Yankees 1, the Rangers 0 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Been standing on this pole all game long looking for a foul ball. Nothing here. He's decked out in his Ranger wristbands, the shirt, the hat, everything. But I tell you what, Reese, we're going to give you the progressive bag of the game. Congratulations. Anything you like to say, big guy?
Go Rangers! Beat the Yankees!
There we go. Well, there you go, Reese. Take the bag and get that glove out. There may be another ball coming this way. All right, get ready, big guy. Thanks. Buzz?
All right, Jim. Yeah, Derek Holland back to the hill, and he will work to Brent Lillibridge to start things off. Top of the 8th inning, 1-0 New York. And the first pitch to Lillibridge is a strike. Lillibridge drove in the game's only run with a double in the 6th inning. Just his 3rd RBI for the Yankees. Holland with the 0-1 pitch. Check swing on the breaking ball, and it dips low. A ball and a strike. Lillibridge, we mentioned, came over from the Cubs. He's also a former White Sox in the Chicagoland. Takes that changeup in for a strike. Lillibridge, parts of 6 seasons with the White Sox, also Atlanta, Boston, and Cleveland. He had stops in there last season. Down on the count here, a ball and 2 strikes. Got him swinging. Steady diet of off-speed pitches, and Derek Holland gets the strikeout. That is just his 2nd this afternoon.
We talked before the game about how the Rangers had done a good job of shutting down Robinson Cano. There's a good slider that he fooled him with. He was way out in front of it. The Rangers have done a good job today. It's 0 for 3 with a strikeout.
Holland facing Cano with the bases empty. And drops that breaking ball in for strike 1. Along with a strikeout, Cano is lined to short and tapped right back to the mound. Tried the slider away and couldn't get Cano to offer at it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Broken bat, pop fly down the right field line, and that's going to go back into the seats a couple of rows. The fan gets a souvenir, and Robinson Cano has to get a new piece of lumber. He sawed off right in his fists. And the guy down there is pretty happy with that. A 1-2, the count to Cano. Holland into the wind. And the slider again, Cano leaning on it, but not going after it. 2-2 now. Cano, with his 21 home runs now, this is the 5th straight year that he has reached 20 home runs or more in the American League. Hits this one hard to right field. That's in and going to the wall. Cruz over to play the Karen. Cano into second with a 1-out double.
Derek made a lot of good pitches to Cano. That one hung up there a little bit. Pitch you probably don't get away with very often to Cano.
And Ron Washington on his way out to the mound.
Right-hand hitters coming up. Tanner Shepard's ready in the bullpen.
Shepard's getting the call, and Tanner will come in as Derek Holland ends up going 7 1/3 innings. He leaves trailing 1-0, and Robinson Cano at second base is his responsibility. A nice round of applause for Derek Holland as he leaves. A little over 35,000 on hand here this afternoon. Appreciate the work of the left-hander. Shepard's coming on. We'll take a timeout. Be right back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. you about your thoughts on which record will be the first to be broken. And most of you said none of them. Those are pretty safe.
Yep.
Only one that's close, Pete Rose's record of hits, 4,256, or Mariano Rivera's ongoing record, depending on where that ends up after the year for Rivera. Tanner Shepard's going to work, and the first pitch is lined to center field, a base hit, and the stop sign is put up as Leonis Martin came in very quickly. So Vernon Wells, first pitch swinging, and he singles to center. That puts runners at the corners with one out, and Eduardo Nunez will be the hitter.
Tanner looked like he got the ball in on his fists a little bit. Wells just muscled that ball into center field for that little blue pit. And they got to go to work here. Not much margin for error because you've got Mariano Rivera to pitch the ninth. It's already 1-0. And you've got a man on third base and only one out. Love to get a double play ball or a strikeout.
Nunez 1 for 3 today. He's been on via an error. He doubled in the fifth and flied to left in the sixth inning. Rangers play at double play depth, hoping for the ground ball. And the first pitch is fouled back. And ideally, what Tanner Shepard's going to like right here is either a one-hopper hit right at Jurickson Profar or a strikeout. Or I guess you could take a pop-up, too. You'd be all right. Shepard will drive Vernon Wells back with a throw. Yankees leading 1-0, and they're threatening here in the eighth inning to do more damage. Is it hit hard enough to turn? Profar, a bullet not in time. In to score, Robinson Cano, and the Yankees have increased their lead. It's now 2-0.
That's about as quickly as you can turn that type of a ball. Profar did a 360 coming across the bag and fired a strike to first base. But it wasn't hit that hard, and it was hit to the left of Ian, who had a longer throw to shortstop. Good attempt, but not much of a chance.
So 2 outs now with Nunez at first. David Adams, who is 1 for 3, is at the plate. That run, by the way, charged to the ledger of Derek Holland. He ends up giving both runs today. 2 of them earned in 7 1/3 innings of work. 8 hits for Holland. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. There goes Nunez. The pitch is inside. The throw to second is in time. They got him. Boy, quick tag by Ian Kinsler. A great pick on a short hop throw. Well, that'll do it, but the Yankees put on a critical insurance run. We'll go to the bottom of the eighth. It's now the Yankees 2, the Rangers 0.
Late, down 2-0 in the bottom of the 8th. I'm Rick Renner at the Captain Morgan Club as we get ready for Rangers Live, presented by Esurance. Coming up on the show, we got not one but two cameras in the locker room for all kinds of post-game reaction. We'll hear from Ron Washington. We'll get you ready for the Cleveland series and the return of Yu Darvish. Plus, Mark McLemore on the set to talk it all. You never know what he's going to say. Now, I'm going to send it over to Buzz.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Now we head to the bottom of the 8th inning, and David Robertson, the setup man for the Yankees, on to work inning number 8.
He's a good setup man, too. He's pitched 40 innings and struck out 51 batters. Opponents hit below 200 against him. Good combination, 8th and 9th inning. And you've got Robertson for the 8th and Mariano Rivera for the 9th.
So Robertson on here to face Leonis Martin to start things off. Then he goes back to the top of the order for the Rangers. Martin 1 for 2. Had a single back in the 3rd inning against rookie Kuroda. He flied to center his last time up. First pitch from Robertson is fastball in the outside corner for strike 1. Robertson, the 28-year-old, was 5'11", about 195 pounds. A very deceptive motion, very smooth, very easy, and the ball gets on you in a hurry. Very durable also. He has worked better than 65 games in each of the last 3 years. This is outside. It's 2-1. Leonis trying to get aboard to start things off. Rangers need the base runner. They trail 2-0. Robertson back to the plate. Fires a strike. Robertson ready once again. Slap foul down the left field side of things, and we'll come back and try it again. Robertson, originally a 17th round pick for the Yankees back in 2006. Good job by Leonis Martin to lay off that hard breaking ball. It runs the count full. So Martin trying to get aboard to start off this 8th inning. He and Kinsler in the top of the order, waiting to be next. Robertson out of the University of Alabama. You go to work. Payoff pitch on the way. Popped up. Third base side, Lillibridge, the third baseman, just in fair territory. That is out number 1. Well, now Kinsler will hit with the bases empty. Ian singled his last time to the plate. That was in the 6th inning. He's 1 for 3 today, and 1 for 6 against Robertson. If that one left the ballpark. First pitch from the right-hander. Drops in that big hook. It's 0-1. Robertson, as Tom told you, a huge strikeout guy, and he has had strikeout per 9 inning ratios of better than 12 each of the last 3 years. Pitch inside. His highest was 2011 when he had 13.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. 62 strikeouts, or I should say 100 strikeouts in 66 innings. Kinsler to center field. That pushes Mason back, but he stops short of the warning track. Puts it away, and that's out number 2. No, Ian flies out, and that'll be up to Elvis if the Rangers are to extend this inning at all. Andrews 2 for 3 today. Gotten that average back up to 250. And it has been a while since Elvis has seen 250 with a batting average. He hasn't been up there since the 14th of June. First pitch inside for ball 1. Robertson okays the sign. And the 1-0 pitch. 2 balls, no strikes. Elvis waiting. The 2-0 pitch. Now Robertson ready once again. Fouled back, and the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now DirecTV brings you a peek at the Western Division standings. As of the beginning of play today, the Rangers trailing Oakland by 3. Seattle and the Angels 11 games behind Oakland. And then Houston 24.5 back. Oakland is hosting the Angels. The series beginning tonight. Ball strike 3. Breaking ball, and it got Elvis looking at home plate. Side retired, a pop up, a fly ball, and a strikeout. We're going to the ninth. It is 2-0 New York. He would like to remind you that stick with us. We'll be with you tomorrow night on TXA 21 at 6 o'clock. Rangers begin a 3-game weekend series in Cleveland against the Tribe. It'll be Martin Perez and Corey Kluber matching up in that opener tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, TXA 21. And we head to the top of the 9th inning. Joakim Soria has come on to take over on the hill for the Rangers. Soria appearing in his 5th ball game now in a Ranger uniform. The first pitch is low and outside to David Adams. Soria, most people felt would be eased into things, and Joaquin, upon being activated, immediately went to Ron Washington and Mike Maddox and said, no, I don't need to be eased in. I know what I'm doing. I've been through this before. So go ahead and use me wherever I can benefit the club the most. And they have done that. Line drive to left. Murphy toward the line, and David able to capture that one. Adams a hard out, one going.
Well, Soria pitched back-to-back days on his rehab assignment. He pitched back-to-back days after he got to the big leagues, too. Well, he looks 100% healthy, and he's pitching some critical points of games late in the ball games, too.
Yep. He was activated on the 7th of July. Pitched that night down in Houston, or here against Houston. Fires a strike at the knees to Lyle Overbay. It's 0-1. Overbay a ground out and a couple of flyouts today. Batting average of 248 as he fouls that next pitch back. No balls and 2 strikes. Now 2-0 New York, and if you're looking forward to the bottom of the 9th inning, and you know you're going to see Mariano Rivera, as long as it stays 2-0, you'll have Nelson Cruz, Adrian Beltre, and A.J. Przynski as the first 3 roadblocks in his way. Swinging strike 3, good breaking ball from Soria. And Overbay dispatched on 3 pitches. Now, Tom, we talk so often about Joe Nathan's ability to pitch in late relief with 4 different pitches, and Soria has that same kind of ability.
Yeah, they're both basically starting pitchers who are pitching late in ball games. Both of them, obviously, Joe is a closer. Soria has been a closer. Probably could be right now with the opportunity.
Milky Mesa fouls off that first pitch, 0-1.
There have been a lot of closers who had one key pitch. It might be a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. It might be a splitter. Could be a slider. But these are 2 closers, Soria and Nathan, who pitch like starting pitchers and can get you out a lot of different ways.
A ball and a strike to Mesa. Joe has been in the last 3 ball games against the Yankees and would probably like another shot at it, but I don't think that's in the cards today for him. Today he's going to get the day off today. 2-1 the count. A rip and a miss at the breaking ball. 2-2. Soria working quickly. Back to the plate and misses low and away. The count has gone full. So Mesa trying to get aboard here with 2 outs. If he does, Austin Romine, the catcher, would be next. Payoff pitch. Ball 4. That's what Mesa Borden brings up. The guy who's been swinging the bat as well as anybody on this Yankee club today, and that's Austin Romine.
Catcher Austin Romine.
Romine, a pair of doubles today. He has scored one of the 2 Yankee runs. Doubled to lead off the 6th and came around to score. And then doubled in the 7th inning. He was stranded at second base. His double in the 7th, a ground rule double to center field. And that was hit with David Adams at first base and 2 outs. If that ball doesn't bounce out of the ballpark, it cost the Rangers another run. Adams would have scored easily from first base. So Romine now hitting 183 as he takes a breaking ball for strike 1. Milky Mesa diving back on that throw. Soria doing his best to keep Mesa from getting an advanced lead at first. And the pitch popped foul down the right side. That will twist its way back into the seats. And it moves the count to no balls and 2 strikes. Joakim Soria, the third pitcher used by Ron Washington today. Derek Holland with the first 7 1/3. Gave up both runs on 8 hits, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Tanner Shepard's 2/3 of an inning with a hit allowed. And now Soria, and he misses high with a fastball. It is 1-2. Brzezinski flashed the signs out. Soria has the one he wants and goes first base way. Soria nods yes, and the pitch. Hit up the middle, over the bag at second. Kinsler, the off-balance throw, not nearly in time as Romine gets his 3rd hit of the afternoon. Perfectly placed roller right through the middle of the diamond.
Well, Romine was the Yankees minor league player of the year a couple of years ago. So even though he came into the game with a low batting average, didn't have a whole lot of at-bats to go along with it. But in the last 4 innings, he's had 3 hits, 2 doubles, and scored a run.
Well, with that base hit, puts runners at first and second. And Ichiro Suzuki will face Joakim Soria.
The Rangers have obviously had trouble scoring. They're going to go to Cleveland and face Corey Kluber, Justin Masterson, and Ubaldo Jimenez. And all 3 of those guys can be very tough, especially Kluber and Masterson. You never know what you're going to get with Jimenez, but he has pitched pretty well against the Rangers at times. So it gets tough going into Cleveland. Then you come home and you get the Angels, Oakland, and the Angels. So it's about time if the Rangers are going to make a little bit of a move. They're going to have to start scoring some runs.
Yep.
Because you play the Angels 6 times in 9 days, and the other 3 games are against Oakland, all division games.
Looper hit out to Profar. He underhands to Kinsler covering, and that will do it. Well, no runs a hit. 2 men are left. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th inning. That man is coming on, the Sandman, Mariano Rivera, Nelson Cruz, Adrian Beltre, and A.J. Brzezinski. By your Texas Ford dealer. Don't miss the Ford Summer Spectacular featuring blockbuster deals. Now playing at your best in Texas Ford dealer. By AT&T UVerse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Progressive. Visit Progressive.com today. Well, the ninth inning has arrived, and yes, there he is again. Mariano Rivera, who was honored by the Rangers before the ball game today. Nice little ceremony. John Ledman and Joe Nathan, Nolan Ryan acknowledging Mariano and his great career. And the Ford leaderboard, while we're talking about Rivera, will show you the all-time rankings in Major League Baseball history for Rivera. First in saves, 640. First in save opportunities. 204 relief ERA is the best. And 1,091 games is fourth in the history of the game.
He's 32 out of 34 this year in saves with an ERA under 2. You stuck those stats in the middle of his career, you wouldn't know the difference. Yeah. Most guys have sort of faded away after being in the big leagues 19 or 20 years at his age, but not like Andy Pettitte. They're still going strong. Still the same type of competitor, getting the same kind of results they've always gotten.
And Nelly Cruz pops up a pitch, shallow left center. On comes the new center fielder, Brett Gardner. And makes the grab for out number 1. It'll be Adrian Beltre next. Barry Conlon. An afternoon that he had to put up zeros and pitched very well, but gave up a couple. And so far that has been a couple too many. Adrian Beltre 0 for 3. A couple of fly balls and a ground ball into the hole. And Nunez can't come up with it. Couldn't find the handle, and Beltre is aboard on what will probably be the first error of the afternoon, charged to the Yankees.
It was a ball hit a lot like the ball that was hit to Nunez by Elvis, where he had to backhand it, and he knew with Elvis running he had to get rid of it immediately, which he did, but he couldn't get Elvis. It almost looks like he's trying to figure out how to do this, whether he's going to plant and throw. And when he decided to plant and throw, he just couldn't hang on to the ball.
Gotta give Adrian a base hit on that.
Well, you get the tying run to the plate anyway.
Yeah, either way, you do get that. A.J. Pierzynski is the hitter. A.J. 0 for 3. First ball swing, got jammed with that cutter. He and about 6,000 other hitters that have faced Rivera over the years. Pierzynski just 1 for 15 in his career, as you can see, against Mariano Rivera. And that one was a double. Got Beltre at first, a very modest lead for Adrian. 0-2. We go from one extreme to the other, Tom, talking about Soria and Nathan being able to throw multiple pitches to get guys out. Mariano Rivera has made a great career out of having one pitch, and it's a good one. Yeah. But there's nothing tricky. You know what to expect every time you go up there. High, tight pitch. Did it hit him? No. Foul ball.
Tip the bat. You know, and then you go up there. If you're Leonis Martin, he went up there for the last out the other day after he was pounding everybody in with his cutter, and he gets 3 pitches on the outside corner. Of course, they were cutters, I guess, a couple of them. One of them, though, was a fastball, 2-seam fastball.
Now again, the 0-2 pitch coming. That's low and inside.
At the luncheon during the alumni weekend, I asked Rusty Greer. He had faced Mariano Rivera a number of times. If you know what's coming, why is it so hard to hit? Obviously, I asked the question in a way where I knew it was hard to hit. And Rusty said, that thing just keeps on coming. It follows you. You think you've got it gauged where it's going to be, and it just keeps coming farther inside than you thought.
Yeah, and it's a 91, 92 mile an hour cutter now as opposed to 95 or 6 a few years ago. And 95 or 96 AJ doesn't tip that ball. But ground ball to short. A quick underhand toss to Adams, and just there in time to get Beltre on the force.
Well, it looked like a double play ball. No one got to second base to cover, and so you still have the tying run coming to the plate. There's one. He pounded AJ in with every pitch until the last one. This one's on the outside corner. Second baseman is way over. He couldn't get there. Well, he got there for the force out, but not in time to make the throw.
Now you have Pierzynski at first, 2 outs, and Mitch Moreland is the hitter. Moreland 1 for 6 against Rivera. Takes a strike to the inside corner. Well, the ground out right back to the pitcher his last time out. Other than that, his flight out and struck out today. And the Rangers trying to get on the board. They're not going to do it here as Overbay handles it on to first, and that is it. Well, the Yankees shut out the Rangers. Rangers have been shut out now 4 times at home this year and 6 times overall. The Yankees win this ball game by a 2-0 score. They out-hit the Rangers 10-7. Hiroki Kuroda, the winner, he is now a 10-game winner at 10-6. And Derek Holland takes the loss. He drops to 8-6. With Mariano Rivera, his 33rd save of the year. We will be back to wrap things up from Rangers Ballpark in Arlington right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.